Welcome everyone, Arvinder, Ubhi with Ellis Porter here. I'm really excited to have Anna joining me today. We're going to be talking about updates and Spanish immigration. There's a lot going on. Spain was one of the epicenters during the coronavirus, and now, fortunately, it looks like it's on the downward line of the chart. So hopefully everything's getting back to normal. Anna, I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself. And then we can go through some of the updates and we'll talk about some top tips as well for professionals.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Buenos dias to the Spanish audience. Hello to everyone else. I'm very happy to be here today with you. My name is Ana Garicano. I'm the partner leading the immigration practice of Sagardoy Abogados, one of the leading employment and immigration law firms in Spain. We have offices in Madrid, Barcelona, Canary Island, Seville, and also a small one in the north of Spain in Galicia. We manage international mobility and employment processes all around the world through our Ius Laboris net, which was founded among other firms by Sagardoy. And like this, we can provide our services to our clients all world around.
Okay, fantastic. So let's jump into some of the updates now. Let's begin with anybody that's currently in Spain that's facing potentially their work permit expiring. What's going on there? Do individuals need to file extensions, and if so, what are the timelines?
Okay, well, in Spain, the emergency state was declared on, I guess, on March 14th. And came into force on March 15th. So one really interesting point of this declaration is that all the legal deadlines, terms, conditions are going to be suspended during the emergency state. And the Immigration General Directorate has confirmed that this suspension of deadlines is going to be applicable to the immigration processes. So all foreign nationals in Spain can relax. They are not obliged by legal deadlines. That it is very important they know that they still can keep submitting applications if they want to do so, because authorities keep receiving this application, and what it is more important, they keep resolving applications, even if they are not obliged to resolve them during the statutory processing times.
Okay, so it's not necessary, but it's a really good practice point to make sure you do continue to extend those and keep records of those as well.
Absolutely, because this will avoid future issues. Let's say in 5 years, one foreign national is going to submit a long-term residency permit application. He or she will need to prove that he or she has been residing legally in Spain during 5 continuous years. So if now they submit the application during the deadline, they are going to make sure that in the future the immigration authorities are not going to question why this gap. And the foreign national will need to explain this was due to the coronavirus. So I would guess it is a good practice to do our best to respect deadlines, even if they have been suspended.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And we see that in the US, and we're trying to drill that home as well. If you've got deadlines, make sure you're following them. Don't take anything to chance, even despite the coronavirus. Now, in terms of all the other types of immigration filings they may have, including short-term placements, maybe long residencies or long-term residencies, can you explain a little bit about how the Spanish framework operates?
Sure. In Spain, we deal mainly with three legal immigration frameworks. Okay, we have the first one, which is the most beneficial, covering EU nationals and their dependents. Obviously, these people, they do not need a work permit in order to work in Spain, and as a general rule, even dependents from third country nationals can live and work in Spain under the same conditions as Spanish citizens. Then we have the general immigration legal framework, covering all third country nationals not covered by the EU legal framework. And third, we have what we call the international mobility legal framework, which affects to investors, entrepreneurs, highly qualified workers, and foreign nationals under intra-company transfer assignments. Well, these two last categories of foreign nationals, the ones covered by the general immigration framework and the ones covered by the international mobility frameworks, in order to work in Spain, they need a permit. What's going on now regarding long-term applications as well as initial applications? The authorities have implemented tools to submit the applications online. So even in the general immigration,
the online filings are available in all of those frameworks.
Currently, yes. Usually, regarding the EU legal framework, they are not available. But during the crisis, the authorities have accepted to process online applications.
Fantastic.
Okay. Regarding the general immigration legal framework, as a general rule, the online tools are habilitated for renewals, but now they are available also for initial applications. And regarding the international mobility legal framework, always the application can be submitted through the online system. So it doesn't make any big difference during the coronavirus crisis. What it is very important to know also is that the immigration offices are closed to public. So the last step of the process in Spain usually consists on fingerprinting to receive a foreigner residency card. Well, now, since the immigration offices are closed, we cannot complete the process, but this is not going to have any impact on foreign nationals because they don't need this card to work and to live in Spain. They are perfectly fine.
So what's the purpose of the card in the normal course then?
Sorry, say it again. I couldn't hear you.
What would be the need for the card?
Okay, for the cards, in order to obtain the card, what you need is a resolution approving your work and residency card application. And with this resolution that you have obtained in the first step of the process, you go to the police station and you fingerprint. Right. And around 40 days later, you go back to the police station to collect the residency card. And the residency card states your personal information and the information regarding the residency and work permit that you hold.
Okay, so it's more of an ID card, but not necessary for you to continue working.
Absolutely. We call it TIE, which means Tarjeta de Identidad Extranjero, Foreigner Identity Card. Okay,
brilliant. Now, just to jump back quickly to the extensions, whether you're going to rely on an automatic extension that the government's allowing, or whether you're going to take that additional step and continue to file your extensions, are there any requirements for the employer to retain copies of the extensions to ensure that a foreign worker has continued work authorization?
Well, as a general rule, and this is not because of the current crisis, employers must keep information confirming that the foreign workers are authorized to work in Spain, because in case of labor inspection, the authorities will request such documents. And it is highly advisable to keep this information even when the employment relationship is over, okay, at least during 4 years.
Okay, so again, it's another good compliance reason to want to take that extra step and actually file the extensions and have a record of that as well, and it can be part of your immigration filings.
Yes, even if it is not mandatory, and if they don't, the foreigners won't face any issues, as well as the employers. It, from our perspective, is highly advisable to keep submitting extensions. Okay. In addition, even if at some point, I think it is important also at some point, the conditions, the employment conditions are modified due to the current crisis, it is advisable to inform the authorities about these modifications, because currently we don't expect any negative impact, and in the future the fact of having keep informed the authorities might be beneficial.
Yeah. Do you, in the US, you're expected to update the USCIS within, normally before an amendment takes place. So if you have any changes to your material changes to your terms of employment, you would file an amended petition in most visa categories. Is there any timeline for Spanish employers to be aware of? Should they be doing that immediately? Should they be doing that within 10, 30 days? What does that look like?
Sure. It is very important for the holders of permits under the international mobility legal framework that employers inform authorities about the modification of the circumstances that led to the initial approval within the 30 days since the modification had place.
Okay.
Honestly, the law doesn't specify if the obligation to submit this notification is of the employer or the employee, but as a general rule, since our clients are corporate clients, we always advise companies to inform about these modifications to the authorities. It is a good practice and highly advisable.
Perfect. Now, a topic that we never like to talk about necessarily, but if an employee is terminated and they're facing unemployment, what are the rights of an employee in Spain? Are they able to collect unemployment? Can they refile again? Are they going to stay in status?
Okay, well, as a general rule, foreign workers hold exactly the same rights as Spanish workers. Even if they don't hold the right work and residency permit, the rights linked to the employment relationship, except unemployment benefits, must be respected. Now, regarding the legal residents holding the appropriate work permits, if the employment relationship is terminated, they will have the right to the unemployment benefits. And from the moment they receive this unemployment benefit, they are going to be able to extend their work and residency permits.
Wow, that's fantastic, and very different to the US system in some regards, but I'm sure very welcome by a lot of the employees who may be facing some difficult times in Spain right now.
Yes.
Let's quickly jump into visitors or tourists to Spain right now, and also talk about the borders, what's going on there. So if you're visiting Spain, you can't travel back, how are you impacted? Are you going to have an overstay on your record? Is it going to prohibit you from coming back to Spain? And in terms of Spain geographically, how are the borders looking with the neighboring countries?
Well, first, regarding the visitor, the stay stages here in Spain, since we do belong to the Schengen area, we apply the rule of 90 days allowed at any 180 days period. So what the European Union has recommended to the member states is that when foreign nationals cannot leave the Schengen area due to travel restrictions, due to the coronavirus crisis, member states must consider the status of these third country nationals as legal from an immigration perspective. And member states should make sure that in the future this overstay is not going to have a negative impact on these people. The advice consists on documenting these people through national visas, but at this stage, at least Spain has just confirmed that the status of visitors overstaying due to the crisis is perfectly fine and perfectly legal, but Spain is currently not documenting or providing additional documents to visitors.
Okay, very good. And now let's jump into the borders. How's Spain dealing with the neighboring countries?
Well, here we need to make the difference to distinguish between land borders, internal borders with Portugal and France.
Okay.
The controls at these borders have been reestablished, and now only are going to be admitted Spanish citizens, legal residents in Spain, EU nationals needing to transit through Spain to go to their countries, and obviously people important during this crisis. I mean, health professionals, also very important, the people in charge of goods to make sure we receive essential goods during the crisis, consular and diplomatic staff, and people under very, very urgent circumstances. As a general rule, non-essential trips are not permitted. And this regarding internal borders, but now regarding external borders, Spain, once again, following the instructions or recommendations from the European Union, is refusing the entry of people that are not under certain categories, such as Spanish citizens, legal residents in Spain, healthcare professionals, people requesting international protection. You know, the same rules applicable to land borders. Okay. The idea is to avoid non-essential trips, right, in order to protect the Spanish people from a health perspective. I guess the big majority of the EU countries are on the same line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to limit that until everyone globally can get a hold of this and maybe get a vaccine out. But certainly limiting the travel cross-border can be very helpful, and it's, I think, proven to be very helpful as well. So let's move swiftly into some top tips for HR mobility and immigration professionals. What would you be recommending to those folk at this time now to really focus on?
Well, first, regarding immigration processes, we strongly recommend to keep preparing applications, submitting applications, and submitting additional documentation information requested by the immigration authorities, because, as I said before, the authorities keep resolving applications. This is very important. Also, obviously, we do advise our clients don't get stressed because the processing times and legal deadlines have been suspended, but we strongly recommend to keep working on immigration processes. Now, regarding visa applications, the big majority of the consulates keep working, but they are limiting services. So when they need a visa to complete the immigration process, we do recommend to double check with the consulate, with the relevant consulate, if the visa service is still available. In case it's not, we will check with Foreign Affairs Ministry if there is a different consulate available to provide visas. And very, very important, regarding the trips to Spain, our clients need to make sure, we will make sure for them, if they are under the admitted categories to travel to Spain. And once this has been confirmed, we strongly recommend to double check with the airline companies. Because for us, it is evident when a visa or a re-entry permit or a residency card is valid, but perhaps the airline companies can think differently. So just to avoid last minute issues, we always recommend to double check. Also very important, according to the information provided by the Spanish authorities, all the official documents needed for immigration processes, such police clearance certificates, birth certificates, marriage certificates, that as a general rule have a validity of 90 days. In case they expire during the crisis, the authorities are going to keep admitting them as valid documents. So we do recommend our clients don't get stressed regarding the validity of documents.
Okay, that's really good guidance there. Let's just quickly, before we wrap up here, how's the sentiment in Spain? How's everyone doing?
Well, really, we are locked down. From this Monday, we are locked down since March 14th. We can go to the streets just for basic and essential things. I mean, buy food, buy medicines. And now from this Monday, because the 2 previous weeks this was not possible, we can go to work when work on remote is not available.
Okay.
The emergency state is going to be extended at least until April 26th. That unfortunately we expect additional 15 days after this date. So, obviously, all the businesses open to public are closed. Bars, restaurants, only essential businesses are open.
Okay, well, hopefully everyone in Spain is keeping their spirits up. And I want to thank you so much for this. This is really informative. You've shared some great information, but I think you shared some really brilliant tips that a lot of employers and HR professionals will find really useful. So thank you so much. If anybody does want to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
Well, through our website, www.sagardoy.com, or my direct email, which would be ags@sagardoy.com. And thank you very much for counting on us.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.